Oxford Readers Level 1 Under the Moon by Romena Akinyemi. 1 AOL. 500 kilometers over Europe. Ship OM-45 moved north. In a room at the back of the ship, Kia watched the numbers on the computer in front of him. "Time for dinner," Rilla said. The numbers changed quickly and Kia's eyes didn't move. Rilla went across the room to his table. She began to watch the numbers too. "What's wrong with the satellite?" she asked. She was a beautiful girl about 20 years old with long black hair and big eyes. "Nothing's wrong with the satellite," Kia answered quietly. "It's the AOL." He began to write the numbers in the book on his table. Suddenly the numbers stopped changing. Kia looked at Rilla. "Over Europe," he said. "It's happening. The AOL is breaking up. There are big holes in the AOL and they're getting bigger." "You're right. Shall we see Captain Saru now before dinner?" Kia stood up. He was nearly 2 meters tall with dark eyes and hair. "Yes, come on," he said. Quickly they went to Captain Saru's room. They waited at the door. "Come in," Captain Saru called. She was a little woman with a fat face. "Come in. Would you like a drink?" "No thank you," Kia answered. "I'd like you to look at these numbers." Kia gave Captain Saru his book. Captain Saru looked at the numbers. Suddenly her face changed. No, she said. "I don't want to talk. It's late and I'm tired. Sit down and have a drink." Kia and Rilla sat down. There was a big window in Captain Saru's room. Kia looked out of the window at the dark sky. He saw the moon. It was cold and white in the dark sky. "Captain Saru," he began. "It's important. Look at those numbers carefully. The AOL is beginning to stop." Captain Saru stood up and put her hands in her pockets. She went to the window and looked at the sky. 300 years ago Earth nearly died," Rilla said. "Earth stopped dying because of the AOL. But now over Europe the AOL is breaking up. We would like you to talk to Earth Commander." Captain Saru did not move. "Do you remember Adai?" she asked. She didn't wait for an answer. "I was on his ship 2 years ago. One evening the satellite gave us interesting numbers about the AOL. We went back to Earth and saw Earth Commander." Captain Saru stopped speaking. Rilla looked at Kia. "And then?" she asked Captain Saru. "Gog was angry, very angry," Captain Saru said. "In the end he sent Adai to the moon. Adai's there now, commander of the moon colony under the moon." Kia waited for a second or two. "I know about Adai. But we need to talk to Earth Commander again. These numbers are worse." Captain Saru's face went red. "You don't understand. I'm not going to talk to Gog. Last time he sent me to a weather ship in the Antarctic. This is my first ship for 2 years." And Captain Saru began drinking. Kia stood up. "Thank you, Captain Saru." Captain Saru said nothing. Kia and Rilla left the room and walked slowly downstairs. The ship was dark and quiet. It was 8 o'clock and everybody was at dinner. "What are we going to do next?" Rilla asked. "I need to talk to Adai," Kia said. "Okay, talk to Adai. But he's far away on the moon colony," Rilla said. "Let's visit Commander Zadok." "Zadok? Commander of Australia. He's famous." "Yes. He's my father's friend. He worked with my father in Brazil 10 years ago. Perhaps he can help us." Kia smiled. "Good. We return to Earth next week. I can phone Adai from Kisangani and then we can go to Australia. But now I'm hungry. Let's get some dinner." 2 Visit to Australia. On Friday, after 3 weeks in space, Kia and Rilla finished work and left ship OM-45 on a space plane to Kisangani. Kia phoned Adai and Rilla phoned Commander Zadok in Australia. The next morning they took an aeroplane to Sydney. A taxi took them from the airport to Commander Zadok's office some kilometers north of Sydney. "Wait for us here," Kia said to the taxi driver. Kia and Rilla walked to the gate. About 10 guards stood in front of the gate. Across the road a train waited. "Rilla OM-45," Rilla said. "To see Commander Zadok at 4:30. "Let me call the commander's office," the guard said. Kia and Rilla waited. It was hot and Kia began to feel thirsty. The guard came back. "I'm sorry," he said. "The commander can't see you." "But I talked to the commander yesterday," Rilla said. "He wanted to see us at 4:30. "The commander is leaving on the train in 3 minutes," the guard said. Can we wait and see him here? Kia asked. No, the guard shouted. Get out of here. Kia and Rilla walked back to the taxi. Where's the driver? Kia asked. Look, he's sitting under that tree, Rilla said. Just then Commander Zadok came out of the gate. He was a very tall big man with blue eyes and a lot of white hair. 2 guards marched in front of him and 2 guards marched behind him. They all carried guns. There he is! Rilla cried. Commander! And she began to run along the road to him. Commander Zadok did not stop. A guard opened the door of the train and the commander got in. Slowly the train began to move. Kia ran to the taxi and jumped in. Then he drove the taxi fast down the road. The taxi driver saw him and ran after him. The train began to move faster. Suddenly Kia drove the taxi off the road. He drove in front of the train and stopped. The train came nearer. And then the train stopped very near the taxi and some guards jumped off. Kia opened the door and got out of the taxi. Put up your hands, the guards shouted. 2 of the guards began to hit Kia. Stop that, as someone shouted. Bring him over here. It was Commander Zadok. Kia stood in front of the commander. Just then Rilla arrived. Oh, it's you, Commander Zadok said. He did not smile. Rilla, your father's going to be angry. We want to talk to you, Commander, Rilla said. It's very important. Very well. I'm listening. Kia began to talk. 2 years ago I told you about the holes in the AOL. Now they're worse. The AOL is breaking up over Europe. Please look at these numbers and this satellite picture. He gave his book to Commander Zadok and the commander looked at the numbers. It's important, Commander, Kia said. In 10 years Earth is going to die. You stopped my train because of this, Commander Zadok asked. 2 years ago Adai talked to me about the AOL. Then he talked to Earth, Commander, and what happened? Where is Adai now? Is the moon colony helping the AOL? We know about Adai, Commander, Rilla said. But someone needs to talk to Earth, Commander, again. I'm going to talk to Gog about rain, I can tell you that. Earth needs rain. There was no rain last winter. Half of Australia has no water and my trees here are dying. Without rain many people are going to die. Is Gog going to understand that? I don't know. Commander Zadok began to walk back to his train. Move that taxi, he called to his guards. Some guards moved the taxi back to the road and then they jumped onto the train again. The train began to move. Okay, the taxi driver shouted. What are you going to do next? Drive my taxi into the river. Kia smiled. He took some money from his pocket and gave it to the taxi driver. The taxi driver looked at the money. Okay, he said. Where now? Back to the airport. Kia took Rilla's hand. Yes, he said. Let's get back to Kisangani. We can phone Adai again tomorrow. 3 Earth, Commander. The next day in Kisangani, Kia and Rilla waited quietly in an office in Gog's house. Suddenly Commander Zadok came into the office and gave some letters to the man behind the table. He saw the 2 young people and stopped in front of them. You again, he said. What are you doing here? Kia stood up. Good morning, Commander. We're here because we want to see Earth, Commander. I saw Earth, Commander, some minutes ago and talked to him about rain, Zadok said quietly. But he didn't listen. Your Captain Saru was here earlier this morning and began to tell him about the holes in the AOL. But Gog doesn't want to hear about our planet. He's always talking about Mars. In the end he's going to destroy Earth. Please help us. Rilla cried. Come and see Gog with us. No. Zadok looked at Kia and then at Rilla with his blue eyes. I'm not talking to Gog again. And you, Gog isn't going to listen to you. Be careful, and good luck. Commander Zadok opened the door and left the office. Rilla looked at Kia. Earth, Commander is a difficult man. I don't understand him. Everyone is afraid of him, Kia said. And Commander Zadok isn't going to help us. Kia and Rilla waited. They waited and waited. At nearly 12 o'clock a guard came into the office. Come, he said. Kia and Rilla went with the guard. The house was big and old with big windows and many doors. The guard went downstairs and opened one of the doors. There was nobody in the room. Wait here, the guard said, and left. Kia and Rilla sat down on the expensive green and black chairs and looked at the expensive flowers on the tables. There were no windows in this room. Suddenly the door opened and a tall fat woman came in. Her name was Belle and she was Gog's wife. She had a lot of long red hair and she wore an expensive blue dress. Belle liked expensive things. She carried a cat. The cat was black and white, half its face was black and half was white, half its body was black and half was white. "Why are you here? Why do you want to see Earth Commander?" she asked. Rilla stood up. "How do you do?" she said. "We want to talk to Earth Commander about the AOL. We have new numbers from the satellite." Belle's face was red. "The AOL? Earth Commander knows about the AOL and he is the best man." "Excuse me," Kia said quietly. "We want to help Earth Commander." Belle began to laugh. "Help? You?" The cat jumped down and walked across the room. "How can you help? Why can't you understand? Listen. Earth Commander is working on the spaceship for Mars. It's difficult and expensive work." The cat jumped onto Rilla's chair and looked at her with its yellow eyes. 2 years ago Adai wanted more money for the AOL, and Earth Commander sent him to the colony under the moon. Now you're talking about the AOL. Do you want to go to the moon too? The door opened again and a different guard came in. "Excuse me. Earth Commander is ready now." Belle stood up. "You can see Earth Commander now," she said coldly. "But you're going to be sorry." The guard opened a different door and Belle and the cat went into a beautiful room with expensive very old tables and chairs. Rilla and Kia went in behind them. There were no windows in the room but a lot of pictures. There was Gog, the richest man on Earth and the worst man on Earth. He was tall and fat and without much hair. He sat behind a big table with a television, 3 computers and 5 telephones. He watched the television and didn't look at Kia or Rilla. 2 guards with guns stood behind him and 2 more guards stood near the door. "Here they are," Belle said. "They aren't friends, oh no. They want to talk about the AOL, of course. No one understands about Mars." That's all right, Gog said quickly. And then he looked up first at Rilla and then at Kia. His eyes were cold and green. "I know about you too," he said. "Your captain told me about you. You're famous. 2 children. You want to help planet Earth, is that right?" He waited. The cat jumped onto his table and sat down in front of the television. "Yes, Commander," Kia began. "The AOL is breaking up." "When? Tonight? Tomorrow?" Gog said angrily. "I heard this old story 2 years ago from Adai. Everyone comes here and wants money for the AOL, money for rain, money for the moon colony. But I am Earth Commander and you are nobody. I know about the AOL and the AOL is good for 100 years. But the satellite," Kia began again. "Be quiet," Gog cried. "I am Earth Commander. I'm not going to give money for the AOL, or for rain, or for the moon." Gog looked at the guards near the door. Take them away. I don't want to hear them." The guards moved behind Kia and Rilla and Belle began to laugh. "Goodbye," she said. "You're not going to the moon, you're going to prison. You can talk about the holes in the AOL there. For prison 888. Commander Zadok was in his room at the biggest hotel in Kisangani. Suddenly he heard the phone. "Commander," someone said very quietly. "A man and a woman, from ship OM-45, in prison 888, the phone went dead. Zadok put the phone down, stood up and left his room. Prison 888 was a big white building without windows near Gog's house. There were a lot of guards at the gate and some more guards marched past the building. All the guards carried guns. Commander Zadok walked across the road to the prison. "I want to visit someone. My name is Commander Zadok." "I'm sorry, Commander," a guard said. "We can't open the gate. Nobody can go in without a letter from Earth Commander." "That's all right," Zadok said and walked along the road past the prison. A guard ran behind him. "Excuse me, Commander," he said quickly. "Please come back tonight. I can open the back gate at midnight. You can see the 2 people from ship OM-45. Zadok looked at the guard. "Your captain's going to kill you." The guard smiled. "My captain phoned you about the 2 people from OM-45. He's the brother of Captain Saru." Zadok didn't smile. "The prison commander is going to kill you and your captain." "It doesn't matter," the guard said. "We want to help." Midnight, Zadok said and walked away. At midnight there were 4 guards at the front gate of prison 888 and there was 1 guard at the back gate. The guard opened the gate and Zadok went in. The guard said nothing. They walked downstairs into a big room. A lot of prisoners slept on the floor because there were no beds or chairs. Kia and Rilla sat on the floor near the door. "You can talk for 5 minutes," the guard said quietly. "The next guard arrives at 12:15. Kia and Rilla stood up. "Good evening, Commander," they said. Zadok looked at the prisoners. "Why are all these people here?" he said to Kia and Rilla. "They're in prison because Gog doesn't like them. I talked to Gog about rain, I talked to him about the AOL, but he never listens. Today someone told me about some fires in the new forest here in Africa, but Gog doesn't want to hear about those fires." Zadok laughed angrily. "And he doesn't want to hear about my trees in Australia. He never listens to me. He's always thinking about Mars, not about our beautiful planet Earth." Kia listened carefully. "Take it easy, Commander," he said quietly. "Please talk to Adai. Adai wants to help. He can come back from the moon and help you." "No," Zadok said. "I phoned Adai this afternoon. He's a good man and he wants to help. But I don't need help. I'm going to stop Gog. I'm going to kill him." Kia closed his eyes for a minute. "Gog's guards have guns. They can kill you, Commander," he said. "You need more people to help. Wait for Adai. He can help you to look for more people." "No, Kia," Zadok said quietly. "I don't want more people. Adai can come back to Earth after Gog is dead, after I am dead perhaps. I don't want Adai to die too." "Excuse me, Commander," the guard said. He looked at the clock near the door. "Okay. Let's go," Zadok said to the guard. He looked at Rilla and then at Kia. His eyes were very blue. "Goodbye," he said. "Goodbye, Commander," Kia said. "Be careful," Rilla cried. "And good luck." Early that morning Earth Commander's house was quiet. A guard opened the door. "Good morning, Commander Zadok," he said. "Earth Commander isn't in his office." "That's all right," Zadok said. "I can wait." Zadok went upstairs and waited. At 8 o'clock Belle came into the room. "Good morning, Commander," she said. "You're early this morning. Are you happier today? Earth Commander was very angry with you yesterday. Don't begin talking about rain or the AOL today." Zadok smiled but his blue eyes were cold. "No," he said. "I'm not going to talk about rain today." Just then Gog came into the room. He looked at Zadok. "What's wrong? Why are you here at 8 o'clock in the morning?" Zadok took his gun from his pocket. Gog saw the gun and his face went white. His eyes were dark and afraid. For a second nobody moved. Suddenly Belle's black and white cat ran into the room. "Guards! Guards!" Belle shouted. The cat jumped at Zadok and Zadok hit the cat away from him. Belle ran across the room to Gog and Zadok at that second shot at Gog. But Belle was between him and Gog. She gave a cry and fell to the floor. Her hair looked very red on the black floor. "No!" Gog cried. "You shot Belle." 3 guards ran into the room with their big guns and stood in front of Gog. "Kill him!" Gog shouted and began to help Belle. Zadok looked at the guards and then at Belle and Gog. Kia was right, he was going to die. 5 forest fires. Later that morning 4 guards took Rilla to Gog's office. His face looked tired and his eyes were red. "Leave us," he said to the guards. Then he looked at Rilla. "Tell me about Kia. When did you first meet him? Is Zadok his friend? What do they talk about?" Rilla looked down at the floor and said nothing. "Come on, tell me," Gog said angrily. He waited but Rilla said nothing. "Tell me about Zadok then. Your father and Commander Zadok were friends. Now you're talking to Zadok about the AOL. I know that. What is Zadok saying? Why do you want to know about Commander Zadok?" Rilla asked. "I'm asking the questions, not you," Gog said. "Did you see Zadok yesterday?" "The AOL is important, not Commander Zadok," Rilla said. Gog watched Rilla carefully. "Zadok is dead." "No!" Rilla cried. "He is dead," Gog said again. "You lost your friend here in this building early this morning. My guards shot him." Rilla's face went white. "What happened? Tell me." "I'm going to tell you one thing," Gog said angrily. "I'm going to destroy Australia. I'm going to burn Zadok's new forest there. You can tell all your friends. Zadok wanted to kill me but I killed him. He wanted money for the AOL and now he's dead. You can tell all those prisoners in prison 888. They wanted to stop me but they can't now. I'm going to Mars. Bell always wanted to go to Mars. He began to hit the table with his hand. I'm going to leave this dead planet. Nobody can stop me. You're crazy, Rilla said. You killed Zadok but one day someone is going to kill you. Gog stood up. His face was tired and he looked ill. BKET, he said. Guards. Take her away. Back to 888. The guards came in and took Rilla out. What happened? She asked them. Commander Zadok is dead. Why is Gog angry? The guards said nothing. But after they returned to the gate of 888, a guard said to Rilla very quietly, Bell is dead. Zadok didn't shoot Gog but he shot Bell before the guards shot him. A guard took Rilla into the prison and soon she was with Kia again. What happened? Kia asked. Tell me. Rilla put her hands over her face and began to cry. Zadok is dead, she began. He didn't kill Gog. He killed Bell before the guards shot him and now Gog is going to destroy Australia. Kia sat down on the floor next to Rilla. His face was sad. Don't cry, he said quietly. 3 or 4 prisoners came across the room. What's the matter? They asked. Zadok is dead, Kia said. But Bell is dead too. What's going to happen next? Someone asked. But nobody answered. The next afternoon Captain Saru's brother took Kia and Rilla to a little room at the back of the prison. They sat down and 5 minutes later Captain Saru arrived. Nobody smiled. You were right, Captain, Kia said. Gog sent us to prison because we told him about the holes in the AOL. Saru smiled. You were right, Kia, she said. Those satellite numbers were very bad. I began to tell Gog but he didn't listen to me. Would you like some coffee? And some sandwiches? Saru's brother asked. Yes please, Saru said. I'm hungry. She looked at Kia and Rilla. Things are very bad. What's happening? Rilla asked. You know about Zadok and Bell? Yes. Gog told Rilla yesterday, Kia said. Saru smiled but her eyes were not happy. Gog talked to me this morning, she said. Her brother came in with the coffee and sandwiches and Saru began to eat. Gog wants to know about Zadok and about you, she said. He's going to kill us all, I think, before he goes to Mars. Suddenly Rilla felt ill. I can't eat now, she cried. But she took some coffee and began to drink. Let's get out of here, she said. Perhaps we can get a plane to Brazil and go to my family. Difficult, Saru said. Last night fires began in the New Forest in Europe and they're moving across Europe. The fires in Africa are burning fast. Gog began to destroy Zadok's forest in Australia yesterday. Did you phone Adai? Kia asked. Adai? You never stop talking about Adai. What can he do? Rilla said. She felt angry. Saru looked at Rilla for a minute. Yes, I phoned Adai before I came here. I told him about Zadok and Bell and about the fires. He asked about you, Kia. He can't come down at Kisangani Airport because Gog is there with a lot of his guards. Ship Mars 4 is nearly ready and Gog is watching it. He wants to leave Earth tomorrow. How can Adai help us? Rilla asked. He can't shoot all the guards here. Captain Saru finished the last sandwich. Let's leave that to Adai, she said. We can do nothing. Are you going to stay here? Kia asked. Yes, Saru answered. Adai is coming to the prison after he arrives on Earth. Oh yes. Rilla said tiredly. But when? Gog can kill us before Adai comes. No, he can't, Saru's brother said. You can stay here in this room. Gog's guards are all afraid of the fires, afraid of the people. They aren't going to look for you here. 6 spaceship to the moon. And so they waited. And waited. Rilla slept in her chair. Kia and Saru talked quietly. Saru's brother came and went. Most of the prison guards ran away with the prisoners. 7 or 8 people, some prisoners and some guards, didn't want to run away, so they came into the room and waited too. 10 o'clock came, then 11 o'clock. It was very quiet. Saru walked up and down the room. Kia sat next to Rilla. Saru's brother came into the room again. It's after midnight, he said. Just then they heard the noise of a plane. Kia stood up. Come on, he said. Let's get out of the building. Quietly they left the building. It was a dark, hot night. There were no guards in front of the prison, so they went to the gate and waited there. Suddenly they saw the plane. It was a little plane and it was going to come down on the road in front of the prison. Rilla took Kia's hand. You were right, she said. I'm sorry. Kia smiled. He began to feel happy. That's all right. I understand. I know Adai very well and you don't. The plane stopped and someone opened the door. Kia ran across to the plane. How many can you take? He called. There are 12 of us. That's all right, someone said. Quickly, the spaceship is waiting. The 12 people got into the little plane and the plane began to move. Rilla looked at the captain of the plane. He was tall with brown hair. He looked nice. Was this the famous Commander Adai? Where is the spaceship? Kia asked. At the old airport, the man said. One of the fires is moving very quickly across the new forest. It's going to arrive at the west of Kisangani before tomorrow, I think. But the old airport is okay. Then the man looked at Kia and smiled warmly. My brother, he said. My little brother in prison 888. Your brother? Commander Adai? Rilla asked. But you didn't tell me that. Kia smiled. Nobody knew, he said. But now, it doesn't matter now. Everyone can know. The little plane came down at the old airport south of the town. Let's be careful, Adai said. We don't want someone to shoot us before we leave. The spaceship was dark. Quickly everyone jumped down from the plane and ran across to the spaceship. Soon the spaceship left Earth and everyone looked down at the burning planet. They saw the dark smoke over Africa and here and there through the smoke the red angry fires. The fires are destroying the forest very quickly, Saru said. Adai put his hand on Kia's arm. I'm sorry about Zadok, he said. I wanted him to wait, Kia said. I wanted him to talk to you. Adai's face was sad. He didn't want me to die, he said quietly. He was a good man. And now he's dead. And Gog is going to Mars, Saru said. Mars? He's crazy. Mars isn't ready for people, Adai said. But Gog wants to go and so he's going, Saru said. Tell us about the moon colony. That isn't ready, you need more money. No, I don't, Adai said. The moon colony is ready. I asked for more money because of Zadok. I wanted to give him money for rain. But Gog didn't listen, he wanted all Earth's money for the spaceship to Mars. I don't want to leave Earth, Rilla said sadly. She felt tired and afraid. Adai smiled warmly at Rilla. Nobody wants to leave Earth, he said. But under the moon is the best home for us now. Wait and see. The moon colony is a beautiful, wonderful country with rivers and rainforests and flowers, buildings, and the first town. You can visit Earth again soon and bring more people to the moon colony. We all want to help Earth because it's our first home. I know that. At the same time you are going to be happy under the moon. Suddenly someone cried, look at the moon. And through the window of the spaceship they saw the moon before them, cold white and beautiful, and under the moon there was the moon colony.